I think I've gotten to a point that finishing these races is no longer about trying to prove that I can do it, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's good. I mean, I've done almost 30 ultramarathons. It's good that I've done that many, but it's also gotten to a point where I'm no longer driven by the need to prove myself that I can do it. So if I have an injury, I don't feel the need to injure myself further to prove that I can finish. The Yeti 100 DNF for 2025. Let's talk about it. This year was a year I thought was going to be a pretty easy, and easy is not, it's obviously relative to what the activity is you're doing, but running a 100-mile race is never easy. This would have been the easiest of the version of the Yeti 100 I would have run so far. Because of the damage to the Damascus and White Top area in the Yeti 100-mile endurance run, they're still fixing trestles. The full Virginia Creeper Trail is not open for running this race all the way from Abington to White Top, or White Top and back and forth to Abington. So we ran a modified course this year that consisted of just basically starting in Abington and running to Damascus with a little out and back the first go around, and then just from Abington to Damascus back and forth 3 total times. Everything about this race gave me confidence that I was going to finish this year. Running in honor of my father who passed away in April, having my buddy Joe, who I finished this race with before and run many races with, was coming out, which gave me kind of that confidence of having somebody there. For some reason, that helps. It really does help. And it being a nice day. No cold weather and no rain. The day started off like it always does. A lot of excitement around these Yeti races. If you haven't run one, they're super cool. They have really cool swag. The start of the race was filled with energy, new location, excitement of the day. It was a double buckle year, 10-year anniversary, which was supposed to be last year. That didn't happen because of the cancellation of the race while we were down there because of the flooding of Damascus. And I had my plan, which I always start off conservatively. This year, I think I started off probably a little faster than I could have, but I stayed within the realm of keeping the wheels on. I made record time to Damascus. I think I was right around 4 hours for, I guess, probably 20 miles, which is pedestrian if you're running a marathon, and fast if you're a mid to backpacker when it comes to 100-mile races. But I was moving well. I felt good, fueling well, hydrating as best I could. It was hot. I got up in the 80s, and in that race, with the exposure running through the farmlands, it was brutal. But I felt strong. I was slowing down. I think I did my first 20 right where I wanted to. It was probably around 13-minute miles, 13:30s. Probably closer to sub 13, honestly, for the first 20. But then I was like, all right, we're going to calm down. And now we banked a little bit of time, and now we're going to recover. And the recovery part from 20 to 35, that 15-mile trek from Damascus back up to Abington, is uphill. It's not a super climb, but it is noticeable in areas. It was very hot. I was drinking water and was out by every time I came to an aid station. I was completely out of water, and it was brutal. It really was brutal. But at the end of the day, this race, I did all the things I was supposed to do. And I always say it only takes one thing to go wrong. Everything can go right in 100. It only takes one thing to go wrong. In this race, and I don't know specifically if it had to do with the flare up the injury I had and the DNF I had at the end of last year for the Devil Dog 100, where I sprained my ankle, the front part of my ankle, kind of where your foot is, this part. I haven't had a problem with that. Not one problem with that since that race. And in this race, they had, I don't know if they're little, what they were. They're little round. They're almost like little baby apples out there, walnuts, weird things. And I could see them. I don't ever remember seeing them in previous years. I don't know what it is about this year that those things seem to be out there. Stepped on one at one point, rolled my ankle pretty good, but there was no immediate like, uh-oh, did I hurt myself? That didn't even happen. I was like, good recovery. I didn't fall. I'd actually seen people fall, stepping on them. It's it's very unfortunate, but I didn't think anything about it. By the time I got to Alvarado, I started noticing my ankle's not feeling fantastic. And it probably happened within, just like the Devil Dog 100 when I sprained my ankle, it happened probably within the first 11, 12 miles that I stepped on the whatever that round thing was, laying in the trail. And if you were out there in this race, you may know what these things were. Didn't think anything of it, but as time goes, things get worse. And by the time I got to, I was dying about water and heat, but that wasn't even the issue. I know a lot of people had issues, stomach issues and stuff like that with the heat this year. Heat didn't bother me. It was rough, but I was acclimated and I had no issues with that. I was looking forward to nighttime and looking forward to coming back down from Abington to Damascus again when I start my second go round. Then I pick up Joe at mile 52, which would have been great because then I have someone to talk to. Ran the first 35 completely alone for the most part. Talked to people here and there, people talking to me about my videos and how they ran this race because of my videos, which is always awesome. Gives me energy and it makes me feel like all I do here is definitely worth it. But when I got to Damascus around 8 hours, I was struggling. Not only was I struggling with my ankle, with not being able, every time I went to take a step and I had to lift kind of my foot, extreme pain. And also, for some reason, I've had this tendonitis running. I hate making these excuses and talking about it, but I've had, for the last 2-3 months, I've had severe tendonitis, which basically feels like from here, it feels like the tendon is just ripping off the bone. And that's manageable. It was annoying. That was probably the most annoying thing I had to deal with the race, with just kind of running and having that. And at one point I had to tuck, probably for the last mile or two before I ended up dropping at Damascus, I had to tuck my arm in my vest and kind of support it. Even that would have been manageable. The pain in my ankle was tough. And so when I got to Damascus, I had a discussion with Joe. I'm having this pain, and it is now 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been running for 8 hours, and the decision I had to make was, am I going to continue from this point on? I believe I could have gotten back down to Damascus. That wasn't the decision I had to make. I had to make the decision that, am I going to stay in this race for the full 100? Joe was going to be joining me at mile 52. He would probably had to wait another 4 to 5 hours, depending on how well I moved back down. But it probably would have been about 4.5 hours. That was probably my guess. Putting it around probably 7:30, 8-ish, making it now nighttime. 12 hours, 52 miles in, still making fantastic time. I could still just power hike the rest of that race out under extreme pain. And I had to make a decision whether or not that's what I was going to do. That was part of the decision I needed to make first. Secondly, if I'm going to eventually drop, say I drop at mile 52 because of the pain and not wanting to put up with that for the rest of that time, because it's a long day to put up with that amount of pain and not be able to move well, to cut Joe loose so he could drive home. And I've never even thought of this coming into equation. Ultramarathons always give you something new to try to solve or to make a decision about. Joe traveled from Indiana to help pace me. He could join at mile 52. I could cut him loose 4.5 hours earlier than I would have had I just gone to Damascus and he waited at Damascus for me, and then we were standing face to face and I had to go, well, now I got to drop. Now it's putting him at a point where he's got to stay the night and waste another day away from his weekend, which I was trying to not be selfish about that. Yeah, I could. Does it sound better? Like, well, I got to mile 52 and dropped. I don't care about that. I don't care if I drop at mile 15, 30, 50, 70. I don't care. And I think anything after 50 just gets to be worse to think about, like you didn't make it. Like dropping at mile 85 would be the worst. Anything closer after 85 would be extremely terrible to have to do. But in this, I just said, you know what? I think at some point I'm going to have to make a decision to drop because of the ankle to not make it worse. I have the Marine Corps Marathon at the end of this month, a couple weeks, and I need to just finish that one. I'm not running for a PR or anything, but I needed to be healthy enough not to be crippled where I can't do the race. So I had to make a big boy decision to drop, and it sucks. But I think I've gotten to a point that finishing these races is no longer about trying to prove that I can do it, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's good. I mean, I've done almost 30 ultramarathons. It's good that I've done that many, but it's also gotten to a point where I'm no longer driven by the need to prove myself that I can do it. So if I have an injury, I don't feel the need to injure myself further to prove that I can finish. So, and that's unfortunate because to me, that's part of the mental toughness side. Like I just see that as now another obstacle I have to try to overcome. It's not something I want to lean into. I don't want to just be like, oh, it's not my day and then stop. Like I don't want to do that. But in your mind, when you're dealing with, loneliness, all the excuses, your brain now has one more thing to show. Be like, you sure you don't want to drop? That part sucks. Could I have taped it up, taken a bunch of pain meds, and then just power hiked it out? Probably. Probably it would have sucked. It would have sucked so bad to spend the next, 18 hours jogging, 1 minute for every mile. It would have been a long day. It would have been a long day. And I would have finished, could have finished, maybe. But now I have this new thing in my brain. My brain now has another weapon against me in these races, and I got to figure that out. What does that mean for me? Well, in this year, I think it means I should have trained more because of my father's death. I just wasn't in the frame of mind this year to really, really push hard. And I got in shape. I think I'm in good shape. I mean, I ran the almost 36 miles in 8 hours, just completely fine. My legs were fine. Didn't have any issues. I was in shape enough. Could I have been in better shape? Absolutely. Can I get down to the weight that I should be? Absolutely. It's exactly what I want to do. And I think that's going to be my next thing is I've ran about half the amount of miles I normally do by this time of year. And so did it come into play here? Maybe the bones, the ligaments, fascia, muscles were not as resilient as they could have been, should have been for this race, and maybe that wouldn't have popped up. But something else could have gone wrong. So I don't want to focus on that too much, but I do want to make sure in the future I am more ready for the race, meaning I've put in the volume of miles that I need, that I am down to the weight that I want to be at for the race, which I still need to lose about another 15, 20 pounds. I did lose weight enough for this one. I did lose probably about 10 pounds over the last year for this one. So the needle's moving in the right direction. So after action, mental toughness is so important in these races. It is so important. You got to know your why. Why are you finishing? Why are you doing this? And you need to prepare. You need to prepare the answers to those things. And I was not prepared to answer the question in this one, are you prepared to be injured for half this race, over half this race, and finish? I just didn't think about it. I thought I was going to be fine. I was going to be tired. They're always hard. Everything always hurts. It's just that, it's that type of thing. It's that type of activity. These are not easy. They're never easy. I do envy the people who can finish these races in 14, 15 hours. You're out there less time, but you're pushing way harder. So that was my race. It was a DNF. Not happy about it, but I'm not beating myself up too much. I do know that there is a chink in the armor now, and it's going to give me something else to fight, and I need to see what that means for me in my future and how I'm going to approach races now. It's definitely made me want to think. It makes me think I should go back to doing some 50Ks and 50 milers just to get that confidence back and get used to not having 100-mile effort weighing on you all the time, because they are hard. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do some of the shorter ultras and have fun and get myself back to the having fun and not chasing belt buckles and putting that amount of pressure on myself until I get to the point where I think I'm okay again, and then keep going. That's what we do. One foot in front of the other. That's my Yeti 100 DNF story. If you have similar impressions on things you've gone through in your life when it comes to ultra running, I'd be curious to hear them. I know that we all are experiment of one, but we're all going up against the same beast, the same battle, and I'm sure a lot of us are not unique in the sense that we all struggle with family life balance, training enough, pain, getting older, all of the things. We all deal with that. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Comment below, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.